Natacha avec Debbie ap servi comme interprète. Nam di yo merci. Si wap suiv sou show kare la ou bien sur Facebook Live et au besoin traduction, t'en prie, vini joindre nous sous Zoom. Wap joindre lien en bas, premier commentaire. Ma passe micro à bay Natacha ak Debbie pour ka expliquer comment ça marche.
So, good evening, everybody, and thank you for this gathering. Today, we will be using the Zoom interpreting function, which will be turned on, activated in a few minutes. If you're using a computer, you will see a globe icon at the bottom of your screen. If you're on a tablet or phone, click on More or the three dots, and you will see a menu that includes an option called Language Interpretation. To listen to the interpreting, click the globe icon on Language Interpretation, then choose your language channel. If you're using a phone or tablet, click Done. If you can't hear the interpreter on your channel, please ask for help in the chat or raise your hand. Help us promote language justice. Please speak at a slow pace, clearly, especially if you are reading. Mute your mic when you are not speaking. If you do not understand all languages spoken in this space, please join the English channel. If you join a language channel, only speak the language channel that you join, please. I will now pass the microphone to my colleague, Christelle, to give the instructions in Creole.
Merci Natacha, bonsoir tout le monde, c'est Christelle, je vais vous instruction pour Zoom nan, en créole, qui donc jodi a nous pral utiliser fonction interprétation Zoom nan, que vous pral activer dans un moment. Si vous utilisez un ordinateur, vous avez une icône globe dans la partie en bas écran là, à droite. Si vous sur une tablette ou sur un téléphone, cliquez sur plus, ou soit trois petits points, et puis vous avez un menu qui gagne là-dedans une option qui est interprétation langue. Pour côté interprétation, hein, cliquez sur l'icône globe là, ou soit sur interprétation langue. Après ça, choisis canal langue ou voulez. Si vous utilisez un téléphone ou soit une tablette, cliquez sur fini. Si vous pas qu'attendre interprète là sur canal ou, demandez aide dans chat là ou soit lever main. Aidez-nous à encourager justice linguistique. Parlez doucement et puis clair, surtout si vous appelez un texte. Fermez le microphone là ou pas parler. Si vous pas comprendre toute langue, parlez dans l'espace ça, tant pis rentrer dans le canal anglais. Si vous rentrez dans un canal langue, parlez dans le canal ça seulement. Merci un peu.
Merci Natacha, merci Christelle. Nap di tout le monde bienvenue dans Rebrasser, une série chita parler sous affaires qui concernent Haïti que Haiti Response Coalition porte pour nous. Non, moi c'est Naomie Labaty et encore une fois m'a dit nous bonsoir et c'est avec contentement que avec nous à soir. Haiti Response Coalition a dit un gros merci à tout le monde pour présence nous et attention nous à soir. Objectif série ça, c'est mettre lumière sur Haïtiens avec vrais amis Haïti qui travaillent pour nous plus bien comprendre qualité des filles pays a avec petite lio qui en dedans ou dehors traverser journée jodi a. Et en même temps redéfinir gens nous parler de Haïti. N'a profité remercier partenaires nous qui c'est Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, Haitian Bridge Alliance, Roots of Development ak Université des Atlantes et Chocarella qui rend programme ça possible. N'a rappelez nous si nous avez des questions, tant pis utiliser section Q&A qui dans Zoom nan. Melinda Akenji a contrôlé Zoom avec Facebook Live yo. Donc pas hésiter à poser questions si nous gagnons. Semaine passée nous avons regardé complications qui gagnent dans plus sur Haïti, différentes crises que nous avons débattu en Haïti. À Soya, nous avons traversé l'autre bord de l'eau pour nous parler des affaires diaspora avec un thème qui est bien tombé dans le climat que nous vivons aujourd'hui. Kijan ça y est pour nous-mêmes Haïtiens qui vivent aux États-Unis, Kijan pour nous faire face carré à aksyon rasis et puis changement dans la loi imigrasyon qui gagne dans nouveau administration ça. Comme modératrice, n'a gagne Santra Denis qui a fait aussi introduit l'autre invité, yo. Mais Santra Denis, c'est, m'a dit ça en anglais. M'a dit biographie en anglais. D'accord? Denis is the executive director of the Miami Workers Center, a member-led organization organizing towards dignity, power, and self-determination with domestic workers, tenants, and families in Miami, Florida. Ms. Denis has developed her own leadership as an anti-classist, anti-racist community organizer and is committed to centering the leadership of Black and immigrant working class people. Ms. Denis has been very active in her community, founding Avanse, Ansamm, an organization that engages, connects, and builds power among Haitian Americans. Mabdi nou bienvenue, bonsoir Santra, et mwen kontan wè et so you got it. Passing on the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Naomie. It is an honor to be on this webinar with everyone here today. I am so appreciative every time our community has the opportunity to gather and to be about serious business as it relates to the future of not only our country, Haiti, but of folks in the diaspora as well. I want to just start by setting the context. And so we who live in the diaspora, specifically in the Haitian American diaspora in these United States, have been being bullied. We hear from the largest pulpit, from the bully pulpit, we say, from the folks who are elected officials who speak about our people, about us, saying what we eat, what we look like, that we're criminals. And so really that is the context of what the conversation around redefining what Haitian Americans are experiencing in the States. We've seen this not only in Springfield, Ohio, also the treatment of Haitians in the DR, but this is also reminiscent of what I experienced, what many people who grew up in South Florida and New York and Boston experienced in the early 90s, where there were Haitian beatdown day, where we were accused of having Haitian body odor, or all of us was considered boat people, even though many of us were not, and even if we were, right? And so today, the Haiti is in crisis was defined by us, by America, and the Western hemisphere will often also hear that Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. All of this really helps people and put context into how people see us, how we see ourselves. We want to talk about what we can do differently to move our country and ourselves forward. We know that language really matters. How we speak about each other, how we speak to each other matters. And so that's a dialogue that we'll be having today. I'm going to just introduce the panelists. I'm so excited to be talking to you all. Some of you all are my favorites, and some other folks I'm just getting to know. And so this is going to be a very dynamic conversation. So I'm just going to start with introducing Corinne Paul, who is the Senior Policy Advisor for Civil and Political Rights at American Jewish World Service. In this role, she leads advocacy with the US government regarding human rights and democracy in countries around the world. She comes to AJWS from CARE, an international non-governmental organization where she advocated to increase women's health access and improve conditions for health workers internationally. Corinne earned her Master's of Public Policy with a specialization in International Development Policy and a Bachelor's of Arts in Government and Politics with minors in International Development and U.S. Latino Studies from the University of Maryland. Corinne is she's an expert, and we're so excited to have you on the call. Corinne, I'm going to come back to you in a minute. If you can wave, people can see you. I'm going to also introduce the Guerline Jozef, who is a human rights advocate who dedicates her life to bringing awareness to issues that affect us all locally and globally, such as immigration, domestic violence, child abuse, child sexual abuse, and other human rights issues. Ms. Jozef was named one of Politico's 2021 40 most influential people on race, politics, and policy in the United States for her leadership, and is a recipient of prestigious award. Most recently, the Las Americas 2021 Border Heroes Award, the 2021 Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Award, and so many others. Guerline, we're so excited to have you on this webinar today. We also have Ariel, Dominique, who's a public engagement strategist and cultural consultant with more than 20 years of extensive experience in developing and leveraging relationships to build and support strategic partnerships. She currently serves as the founding executive director of the Miami-based Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, HAFD, a national organization whose mission is to engage the Haitian American diaspora and promoting policies that foster democracy, human rights, economic development, and inclusion. She is also the co-founder of the Haitian Ladies Network. We're so excited to have you too, Ariel. And then my girl, Dr. Shirley Plantin, who everybody's my girl, who is the CEO of U-Turn Youth Consulting Firm and the author of The Backstory of a New Reality. She leads workshops addressing the school-to-prison pipeline, urban youth violence, and systemic injustices. Dr. Plantin has directed youth prevention programs and advocated for families facing institutional challenges, and she has received multiple awards for her work in youth advocacy, including recognition from the state of Florida and Miami-Dade County. She serves on many boards and has a Juris Doctorate from Concord School of Law and a bachelor's in history with a focus on criminal justice. These are your panelists. They are Haitian. They are excellent. And we're super excited to have them here today. So we're actually going to start with Guerline. Guerline, tell us what people are experiencing in the Haitian American diaspora as it relates to the work that you do at the border, as you see communities migrating from town to town. Tell us what are you hearing, what are you seeing, what is the work that your organization is doing?
Thank you so much, Santra. I apologize in advance, Melinda. I am going to tackle both Haitian Creole and English as much as I can. Honneur, respect pour tout moun qui ap tande, soit en Haïti ou bien dans pays l'autre bord de l'eau. Et Jean Santra dit, non, moi c'est Guerline Jozef, moi c'est co-founder et puis moi c'est directrice exécutive organisation Paboisit aux États-Unis qui est le Haitian Alliance pour Alliance Haïtienne. Good evening, everyone. My name is Guerline Jozef. As my dear sister Santra mentioned, I am the co-founder and executive director of the Haitian Alliance. And we are here really at the forefront fighting and supporting and serving our community. We clearly understand that the reason why many of us are not home is because we find too often that home is not safe for some of us. And so we want to say thank you for those who are still at home, and we continue to pray for a better home so we can all be together. Santra, to answer your question, what we are seeing right now in the United States, it is really not new. It is here we go again for the Haitian American community, for the Haitian community in the United States. We know what it's like. We understand that we have always been at the forefront. We have always been the targeted minority within the minority communities. And I will repeat, the targeted minority within minority communities. And when it comes to Black people in these United States of ours, it is another level of extreme violence that we have to deal with on a daily basis. You asked what we see at the US-Mexico border. The reality is, even within the immigration movement, when we speak about immigrants, we see a clear erasure of Black immigrants, of Haitian immigrants, of Jamaican immigrants, of immigrants from all over the continent. So we have to address the anti-Black racism that is also a part of the movement that we are within, right? And so when we receive a Black person at the US-Mexico border, I will be honest with you that my heart is always in two places. In one place, we understand what they have escaped from home. We understand the journey they have made through the Darien, to Panama, to Colombia, to Guatemala, to make it into the US-Mexico border. So with that in heart and in mind, we pray and we still welcome to those miracles that we are able and we are blessed to be able to receive. But at the same breath, we are afraid that the moment they touch the soil, they are also at risk of what it means to be Black in the United States. So you can understand the dilemma we as Black immigrants, as Haitian immigrants, have to endure when it comes to what we call chercher la vie. So really, this is how it is. And now with the new policies, with the new executive order, we clearly know that the US-Mexico border is shut down. There is no access to any way for people to seek asylum, to seek entry to the United States, and then for them to be able to seek asylum. And we want to clarify that the people have to be in the United States before they can actually apply for asylum. And they have 1 year from the day they enter to be able to apply for the asylum. But even the very limited access that we fought really hard to put really force the previous administration to put in place, the application CBP1, absolutely not perfect, which we fought against as well to make sure that they were able to include Haitian Creole and make sure that they were able to identify Black faces and people of darker shades. And we had to be on the ground weeks before they actually release the application to make sure we're monitoring the impact it had on Haitian immigrants and Black people. So now this doesn't even exist anymore because the new Trump administration has, through executive order, completely revoked, cancel, and eliminate the access for people to be able to apply through the CBP1 application, wait for an appointment up to a year sometime, and once the US government sent them this appointment, they were then allowed to present themselves at the port of entry and then come to the US. Why am I sharing the background on that, Santra? Is because the narrative of illegal immigration that people continue to buy into is a false narrative, because the legal pathway, very minimum and narrow pathway that the government had put in place has also been revoked. So it is not about illegal immigration. It is not about people in this country undocumented. It's about the fact that we do not want Black and brown immigrants in the United States. And as the current president mentioned 8 years ago, they would rather have people from Norway who happens to be blue hair, blue eyes, and blonde hair. So we want to clarify that from the beginning. And really, Santra, I think I should stop here just to give people an idea of what we are dealing with at the US-Mexico border. Currently, there is no access for people to come and seek entry so that they can then apply for asylum. We can get more into details with what it means for people in the United States with the new bill, the Lincoln bill that just passed, and continue to understand the information with that. The cancellation of the CHNV parole programs, what the Haitian call the Biden program, really get into the weeds of what it means right now for Haitian immigrants at the US-Mexico border or during their journey in the United States.
Yeah, thank you so much, Guerline. I have so much love for you. I just want to do a little bit of a recap before we go to Dr. Shirley, who's going to talk about what young people are experiencing in the school system. And so Guerline really opened us up by sharing that people are actually taking a dangerous route to get through South America, Central America, to arrive to the border, which that is the only place where they can legally, you have to touch the soil in order to apply for asylum. And so that is the legal process. And so as a community, we have to actually be informed to understand the immigration system so that we don't fall into false narratives about our own people and other immigrants in this country. The other thing that Guerline also mentioned is that this administration has really rolled back the opportunity for people to actually ask for asylum, to present themselves, to get appointments, or even for people to access, I would say, Guerline, if that's what you're saying, in terms of organizations who are doing work at the border as well. The other thing that we want to just name is that we know that Black immigrants specifically, I'm so excited. I see one of our attendees, Gypsy, who's on the webinar, was a part of a podcast called Detention by Design, where we know that the history of detaining and arresting immigrants really started with Haitian people. And so that is the background that we need to know as it relates to what Haitians are experiencing in America. And I'm going to pass to Dr. Shirley, who's going to really center us and focus on us on young people, children, because often they are left out in this conversation, but they too are also experiencing what adults are experiencing in their classrooms. And so, Dr. Shirley, why don't you tell us, what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What's happening in some of the school systems? What do we need to know about what children of Haitian descent are experiencing right now in this moment?
Well, thank you, Santra. I want to first thank the organizers for the invitation. And to answer your question, Santra, I think I want to kind of follow up on Guerline's point and pick up someplace she left off, is that this isn't new to us, right? You and I have been having this conversation, and I'm happy you mentioned Gypsy, because yesterday Gypsy and I had a similar conversation. It's not that this is new. I think we need to be very clear that what makes us very different is the punitive nature. One, the cruelty, two, and the desire to make it as painful as possible. And I wanted to stress that because as adults, we feel it. And I never want us to forget that young people don't process how we process, because they don't have the outlets that we normally do as adults to process. So when that is the nature and the reason why things are being done, and they're only getting their information primarily on TikTok or IG or whatever social media they may, it may pop up on their timeline or their stories, we have to be very mindful that the way they process is very different and the way they communicate what they're feeling is very different. That's number one. I also want us to remember, I want us to take 4 points that I kind of want to highlight where we've seen this before. In the 80s and the 90s, when the masses were arriving, we knew and we saw the abuse in schools. And Santra, you referenced it in your opening, right? The Haitian beatdown days, where within schools, predominantly high schools, if you were a Haitian descent, because you were Haitian, because you were a Black immigrant, because you didn't speak the English well, or you didn't look like everybody else, you were targeted, right? And they were chasing you down the streets. And eventually that gave rise to what we know as Zopound. Whole nother conversation I saw on social media. Somebody wanted to educate us on Zopound. And I'm like, yes, but we're missing so much context, right? And really understanding that Zopound wasn't created just to be a gang. They didn't get their name of becoming one of the most cruel gangs just for the hell of it. It was a survival mechanism because we've been through this before, right? And then in 2000, and I fast forward a lot because we went through it, but I want to highlight the major ones. The first Trump administration, the deportations when kids were dropped off and their parents didn't come to pick them up. So our children lived through that. A lot of those same children are only 10, 15 years, not even 8 to 10 years older now, having lived through this or knowing someone that has lived through it. In 2024, we had the whole cat eating comments where our children, again, were stigmatized and experienced the racism and didn't go to school and were being bullied, predominantly in our schools here. It became a running joke. Or do you eat cat? How you eat it? Fried or boiled? And what we know is that this generation of kids ain't the Zopound generation. We handle things different, right? They process things different. And then we have what we're dealing with right now. And I said all of that to bring us to the current issues that we're facing, is because for lack of information, people will create their own narrative. So when we as a community remain silent, not only do the adults not know what to do, they don't know how to pass on the information to their children. And those people who serve our children don't know the proper information to give them either. So what we're finding is a lot of young people are asking, where do I fit in this America? What we often say is we're not Black enough and we're not Haitian enough. So you have a lot of young people that don't even know their status, who think they're American, may not be American. They don't tell you that you don't have no legal status. They don't tell you you on TPS. You just don't know, but you're walking around here thinking you American, and that's not your real state of mind, right? That's not your legal basis. So now there's some real issues that these young people are feeling. The second thing that we're noticing, I know we're often talking about children in school, but we also have to realize that we have young adults who are 16, 17, and 18 who are in college. So these funding freezes actually have an impact on their Pell Grants. Parents are concerned, how do I pay for it? These kids, as we said earlier, are young Black excellent kids who are in college trying to become the next leaders, don't know where I stand. Where do I fit in? How do I prepare for a future if I don't know if I even belong here, if I'll even be able to enjoy it? The other things that we're seeing is that parents are pulling their kids out of school. And the fact that you're pulling your kid out of school out of fear that your child may get picked up because safe locations, sensitive locations, as they used to be called, are no longer safe and sensitive. So I can walk into a school and pull a child out. That now leads us to young people not feeling safe. Well, they didn't feel safe in schools already. Add this layer of immigration and the possibility of being deported and detained, not understanding that there's a whole legal system and processes. Again, young people don't process how we do, right? And then there is this need of, I'm fearful for my life because now the people who I used to call my homeboys are telling me, yo, dude, you about to get deported. You a Zoe, you it is, all this, I'm a Zoe, where's that now? And you're seeing the racism, you're seeing the xenophobia, you're seeing the me versus you, even though we're both Black, right? Again, where do I fit in today's America? Am I Haitian or am I not? We're also seeing the schools and the teachers torn as to the best ways to address this situation. Schools are saying, no, we're not going to allow you in. Teachers are saying, we need to put these, let's protect the kids by going back to Zoom. Let's protect these kids by not having them on the campus. But what we know is the students who suffered the most, the last time we did a lot of this Zoom stuff during COVID, were the students that looked like us, the students that didn't have the base and the foundation to begin with. So I caution us in understanding that our young people, then we lead to the mental health. I want us to understand that we are dealing with a fragile generation. What do I mean by that? This is the same generation that dealt with COVID. This is the same generation that has dealt with the constant bullying, that's trying to figure out who they are. This is the same generation that mental health, we know that mental health is a real thing, and the place that they turn to the most is social media. And yet when they turn to social media, where supposedly they should be getting information, what they're seeing in the comments is people beating them down, send all them Haitians home. They don't belong here anyway. They're not Americans. And all the negative comments that we all know as adults don't sit well with us. So we know as children don't sit well with them either. And then one of the last things I want to talk about is really the fear, the anxiety that our young people are feeling. That isn't something that a simple conversation like tonight is going to take away. I don't necessarily know if the school systems who are working with them, these mental health workers, fully understand all the many layers that are happening in a kid's home. But one of the things that I do want to end with, Santra, so you can move on to the next person, is I challenge us to be very mindful that our young people are vulnerable. And they're vulnerable to a couple of things. They're vulnerable to being homeless, because if a parent is detained or deported, and that was the only parent in the household, where do we leave this child? Our community doesn't do well with, planning the next in line, for lack of better terms, right? Who will pick up this child if I get detained or get deported? Who's going to be the person to be responsible for my child? There's a preparation that we're not doing, therefore leading the possibility of our children to become homeless, become hungry, right? When you're talking about these funding freezes and Title I dollars, I want us to understand a lot of these dollars that feed our kids, we understand through COVID, most of our children eat in schools, right? So the reality is facing our kids on multiple layers. We also have the fear of being misplaced. A lot of our young people will end up in DCF, if we don't do the right things, if we don't prepare them. These are the fears and the conversations that are having in schools, misunderstood, but more importantly, the possibility of being seen as less than, and they themselves, because they don't have the proper documentations, right, of being detained and deported and possibly being taken straight out of school. So the fears are real, the fears in the community. But one of the things that I also want us to be mindful of, when there is fear and when there is no guidance and there is no system to support them, our young people find themselves in embraced arms of traffickers, embraced arms of violence, embraced arms of gangs, because everything we're seeing in Haiti is exactly what will happen here, and is already happening because we have not done the work to embrace them. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm ready. I'm willing to share and be around for that.
Absolutely. Lots of things came up. Students really experiencing bullying, parents sitting down with their students, with their children, to talk to them about what they're experiencing, so that folks know that guidance counselors and teachers may not understand how to guide folks in this moment. That if folks feel isolated and they feel vulnerable, we know they'll turn to gangs. We'll know that they're vulnerable to trafficking. So there's a lot for us to sit with. And the last thing Shirley said around making sure we have a plan for guardianship for case of emergencies in our community is going to be really important. So I really, really appreciate your feedback and what you offered, Dr. Shirley. I want to really segue us to Ariel, who's going to link it to what we're experiencing here in Haitian American diaspora and how that relates to Haiti, because Dr. Shirley walked us right into this next part. So thank you, Ariel.
Merci en pile, Santra. D'ailleurs, m'a salué d'abord organisateur qui c'est Haiti Response Coalition, Haitian Bridge Alliance, Roots of Development, et puis tout le monde qui a regardé nous sous show kare là. Moi connais gen un pile gros leader, Jean nous t'a dit qui a suivre nous tout sous Zoom là, donc m'a salué eux tout, ils fait un travail extraordinaire dans diaspora pour aider nous vraiment surmonter problème ça yo. Donc, nom c'est Ariel Dominique, Jean Santra dia, moi c'est directrice exécutive Haitian American Foundation for Democracy et co-founder Haitian Ladies Network. Donc, je vais parler là sous le Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, qui sont organisations en diaspora qui défendent, qui fait promotion démocratie, droits humains, développement avec inclusion. Nous travaillons sous deux fronts. Premier front, c'est que nous faisons pile plaidoyer pour Haïti en face du gouvernement américain, c'est-à-dire Congrès, Maison-Blanche, département d'État, et nous prenons plaidoyer nous, à partir de relations que nous gagnons avec la société civile haïtienne. C'est-à-dire nous travaillons très proche avec eux pour nous connaître qui parole n'a porté pour le gouvernement américain, pour nous, si nous avons un rôle plus constructif, un meilleur rôle, un meilleur engagement avec Haïti. On a fait ça depuis quelques temps. Et l'autre bagaille que nous faisons, c'est que nous fait partie d'un groupe avec un pile d'organisation qui s'est panéliste là, pour nous voir comment que nous avons structuré diaspora. Qui recommandation nous avons gagné pour nous structurer diaspora, pour que le capable gagne plus force et pour le capable défendre droit Haïti, mais tout diaspora ici. Donc, vraiment, Santra, nous avons un moment vraiment difficile pour Haïtiens, tout yo ici, tout yo en Haïti. Alors, pour nous parler de Haïti, moi, je voulais nous quelques chiffres, journée aujourd'hui, pour nous comprendre un peu ce qui a passé en Haïti. Donc, à peu près, moi, quoi que yo parlé de entre 150 000, ça c'est droits humains, RNDDH qui baille chiffre ça, les Nations Unies baillent des chiffres jusqu'à 1 million de monde qui déplacés, displaced people en Haïti, dans 117 camps réfugiés. En 2024 seulement, 5 000 personnes mourir de insécurité. C'est soit yo tué yo dans l'insécurité, soit enfin yo kidnappé yo, etc. Gagné qu'on y a 34 policiers que yo dit que qui mourir en 2024. Gagné à peu près 200 gangs actifs dans le pays et yo fédéré en tant que un seul groupe qui les vivent ensemble et yo coordonné attaque et yo yo supporte yon lot et yo vraiment gagné 90% presque de territoire zone métropolitaine là qui dans l'ouest là. Donc, yo établi tête yo et maintenant état et maintenant dans atmosphère que moun qui dans zone métropolitaine yo principalement et dans la Tibonite tout à vivre. Donc, là où gon Haïti qui vivre moment difficile ça, et faut saluer tout Haïtien qui cap suivre nous parce que moi connais que gen la vie en Haïti quand même, gen 12 millions de monde qui vivent là, 75% population gen moins de 25 ans. Donc, côté gen la vie, gen l'espoir, le demande souvent, est-ce que gen l'espoir pour Haïti? Moi, je dis, nous pas gen le choix, nous gen pour nous vivre. Donc, nous pas réfléchir, est-ce que gen espoir, pas gen espoir, nous gen pour nous faire travail là. Donc, je salue, je fais un gros coup de chapeau pour Haïtiens qui en Haïti qui continuent à vivre, qui continuent à vivre et qui continuent à batailler. Donc, tout ça pour dire que là, que gon situation insécurité comme ça en Haïti. Bien entendu, nous-mêmes qui ici, là, qui gen famille nous l'autre bord, déjà gon stress pour nous. Ça, c'est yon. On y a depuis 2018, depuis premier lock qui te gen dans le pays, nous gen à peu près, si je ne pas trompé, mais maintenant, mais que Guerline peut-être, et ouais, si chiffre ça yo, et c'est précis, gen entre moun qui parti et qui gen TPS, avec ça qui parti sous le programme, gen à peu près 600 000 moun qui rive ici là. Qu'on y a ou pas connaît qui ça que moun sa yo, qui ça que pral advenu de yo. Yo même qui te convoyé l'argent transfert pour moun en Haïti, dans situation que yo antigenon la perez parce que yo pas contre qui ça pral passer. Qu'on y a, depuis que nous voyons l'administration arriver, nous à comprendre qui ça pral passer, nous est que yo fait men USAID, qu'on y a, nous qu'a dit tout ça, nous voulons de USAID, nous connaissons que c'est pas des programmes que nous totalement d'accord avec eux, que t'as doué gagner, mais nous connaissons tout, que système santé haïtien, tout bagay, tout programme anti-tuberculose, anti-HIV, AIDS pour jeunes, nous connaissons que bah, ça dépend en pile de l'argent USAID. Nous connaissons que secteur agricole, la World Food Program, tout bagay, ça dépend de l'argent USAID. Donc, le gon freeze comme ça dans le pays, ça va impliquer un bal monde. Donc, nous connaissons que ça, c'est un problème. Quand y a parlé de insécurité, là que yo dit, le secrétaire Marco Rubio vini, il dit que yo va continuer avec MSS là. C'est pas une question est-ce que nous d'accord, est-ce que nous pas d'accord. C'est une question de est-ce que gon plan. Si pas qu'on y a yo dit, ah non qu'on y a pas gen MSS, ça veut dire pour gang yo, qui message que y a envoyé pour gang yo. Donc tout ça pour nous dire que nous-mêmes qui dans diaspora qui connecté avec Haïti comme ça, qui gen famille nous l'autre bord, qui voyé l'argent en Haïti et qui t'a remis ouais on allait mieux pour Haïti, stress là, son stress ici, nous pas connaît, nous peut, mais son stress qui est très connecté avec Haïti tout. Donc, nous pourrons parler plus tard de qui solution, qui ça pour nous faire dans le moment. Moi, pas quoi que, moi-même, quand je vis aux États-Unis depuis longtemps, pas quoi, mais j'en vivre en bagaille comme ça. Ni en Haïti, parce que c'est là me fait et c'est là me grandit, ni ici. Nous, non, au moment, moi, quoi, dans le monde, c'est pas seulement et dans deux communautés, ça, yo, ni non plus aux États-Unis, que nous, vraiment pas contre côté, nous pour aller, si nous pouvons on abysse ou bien si c'est alors you dit is it the last gasp, est-ce que c'est dernier effort pour force qui veut gagner en suprématie blanche, est-ce que c'est dernier effort yo? Mais moi connais que nous depuis nous vivre gain bataille qui possible, donc plus tard dans la conversation nous pourrons parler de qui ça veut dire bataille parce que en tant qu'haïtien c'est ça nous connaît bataille. Merci.
Merci, Ariel. We're going to pass to Corinne, who's going to tell us about what we can do in this moment to really advocate for our communities. What does that look like? And so welcome, Corinne. Would love to hear from you and the work that you've done in the government.
Thank you. So when we're talking about what to do, these conversations are absolutely an important piece. Important that we're educating ourselves and important that we're in solidarity and community with each other. We absolutely need to be taking care of each other. And also, we need to make sure that these issues that we're discussing are heard by the people who are closest to the levers that can affect the change. And so these decisions are coming out of government, and I really believe that that means we need to be doing all that we can to push the government to change its decisions and use its resources better. So when it comes to the US government, it's like an understatement to say that we're in uncharted territory in this country. Many of the institutions that have been a fixture in the US are now in flux, and in particular, those institutions that have worked on international issues. In just the last 2 weeks, we've learned that essentially all foreign assistance funding has been paused, and it's not clear that it will be turned back on or if there may be waivers to continue granting support. Just this week, we learned that staff, virtually all staff is being let go or put on leave at USAID and in many parts of the State Department. And so as Ariel mentioned, these changes they're likely to hit Haiti very hard. The vast majority of funding for health systems in Haiti comes from US sources, and international institutions that use US funding. And everything from journalists in Haiti to the police in Haiti have budgets that includes US money. And so it's clear that these government actions can negatively impact us both on the island and, as Guerline mentioned, here in the US as well. And so all that being said, again, there are people in place whose job it is to respond to the concerns of US citizens and also just the people who are living in their districts, even if they're not citizens, but living in the places that they represent. And so that's Congress, that's our representatives. And so I say this as someone who works as an advocate now, and also as someone who previously worked within the Senate and was taking, these meetings and phone calls from constituents as well. So, we can argue about how much power we feel that Congress has these days and how that power is being especially challenged now in this administration. But at the same time, they're still in a position to do something. And so we should absolutely be doing what we can to make them do something and to make sure that of all the things they have on their plate these days, that focusing on Haiti and Haitians needs to be one of their priorities. Congressional office priorities are not determined automatically. They're often just the result of what issues the office is hearing about the most, or what these members are getting the most complaints about. Because again, it's their job, and I keep repeating this because I think sometimes we don't realize that we can absolutely just pick up the phone and ask things of our members of Congress. Sometimes it feels very daunting, but it's absolutely accessible and it's absolutely something that we need to do. And frankly, other groups are doing this for their own issues. And so it's absolutely important that Haitians are also doing this for Haitians, and allies of Haiti are doing this as well. So I can put the phone number in the chat of the Congressional Capitol switchboard. And so basically when you call that number, it will connect you to the phone of your representative. And it's as simple as calling and saying, a staff member will pick up and you say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so. I live in this district, and I'm calling to say that I really need, member X, Y, and Z to support turning funding back on for Haiti, or to support continuing TPS protections or continuing humanitarian parole protections, for example." And this may seem small, but again, it's such an important thing to do because these members, these senators, these members of Congress only move if they feel that there are people in their area who are pushing them to do so. That's the way that they justify how they spend their time. That's the way that they decide what to speak on publicly. And so you can both call your own member of Congress. You can leave messages online for them. And you can also request meetings. And so you can do that with your member as well as for offices that are working on the issues that we care about. So places that have big Haitian constituencies, for example. But I'll paste the number there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Corinne. So there are a few questions, and Corinne, since you're on, I'm going to go ahead and ask the question that's directed to you. Could a script be worked on for when we make the calls? Or do you know of any organizations specifically doing work in the Haitian community that have these kind of toolkits where scripts could be shared for issues as it relates to Haiti?
Scripts can absolutely be shared. As far as ones that already exist, I can either do some research or maybe work with some of the folks on this call to come up with one. But that is absolutely can be done. And again, it can be very simple. So a script definitely helps, but don't let that stop you either.
Absolutely. Ariel, I see your hand up.
Yeah, sorry. So I was to piggyback on what Corinne said. I think that scripts also change. They change with the moments and the asks, what we're asking Congress and it for immigration, for example, now we know exactly what we're asking for. But when it comes to Haiti, as we have a new administration, there's a new Secretary of State, the policies are being developed on their end. So we know some of the things I think that Corinne mentioned, and I know, for example, there's legislation that makes sure that there is no gun trafficking to Haiti. There's legislation to make sure that the police force is equipped, vetted, and supported. But as the political situation in Haiti changes, as the administration develops their own policies, then there's different script. And yes, as organizations who are on the line right now, American Jewish World Service, who's an advocacy organization that works with civil society in Haiti as well, Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, Haitian Bridge, and Haiti Response, we can provide scripts, social media toolkits as the situation sort of settles. And that's why I said that we are in this critical moment where things are shifting, as you all know, so rapidly that not sure if you're seeing me.
Yes.
Yes. So things are moving so rapidly that we are developing and seeing, how to respond to specific issues. Yesterday it was USAID. There's the MSS. But yes, definitely we are all there. I think that the Haiti Response Coalition can send websites and contact information to reach out to us for scripts or asks and the
Thank
how
you,
to.
Ariel, for what you shared. I also think for people who are in states like Florida, we like to say that all politics are local. And so we know at the state level, they're thinking or considering to withdraw in-state tuition for undocumented children of folks who are not citizens, basically. And so all of your immigrants to go to college, they will now need to pay out-of-state fees. That is something that many of us should worry about. Folks on TPS who would get in-state tuition, they would need to pay out-of-state tuition, and that's something that's happening at the state level. As it relates to sanctuary cities, the state legislatures all across this country have a lot of power to kind of talk about what is happening with immigrants in this country. And so I would think about what power folks also have at the local and state level for people who live in their districts right now, and really start there as well as your congressional members. But there's a lot of spicy things happening in the states. I think there's a lot of opportunities, specifically in the states where there's huge enclaves of Haitian folks. I think there's an opportunity for us to get aligned. I like to say get information, Beyonce, for us to be on the same page and to really call our elected officials. What they tell us is Haiti is not a priority. They have the Middle East going on, and it's not a priority because we're not calling as much as people from other communities are calling, right? To Corinne's point. And so that Thank you for answering that question, Ariel and Corinne. We have another one from Michelle. For almost 30 years, I've been working with Haitians in Haiti who were deported to Haiti because of criminal convictions in the United States. As one of the speakers mentioned, some Haitians are shocked to learn that they're not U.S. citizens. It is very painful and a shock when Haitians learn this through the authorities. Do you think programs could include counseling sessions to help parents, guardians tell their children the reality of their immigration status? I think that question is for you, Dr. Shirley.
I would advise, and thank you for the question. I think it's a good question. I would advise everyone at this point, if you have contact with community in any capacity, these are the times where we have those tough conversations with community. You need to tell your children their status. You need to begin to have conversations with family members who are, documented, who are American citizens. There needs to be guardianship packages. There needs to be conversations. If you have businesses, you may want to consider starting to put other people on your bank accounts, other people on your SunBiz information, because the idea is to be prepared. One of the things that we often find in our community is we don't do well preparing. We react, but reacting doesn't necessarily mean that we're being responsive. That's number one. And number two, I think we do this a lot, even with kids that are getting ready to go to college, when they need the tax papers, the social security numbers. Well, right now, we really don't have much time because tomorrow may be a whole different ballgame. To Ariel's point, we are in a critical stage. And as things begin to not settle or settle, because we don't know what the next hour will look like, I think it is incumbent on all of us who have a voice in the community, particularly people like Shokarela, who's a partner on here. Anyone who has a voice in this community, we do a disservice to parents, particularly pastors, anyone who has a voice that people are listening to. We need to be imploring our people to tell their children their status. Please carry documentations as much as you can. Now, I'm not telling y'all to walk around with your US passport if you're an American citizen, because getting a replacement is a lot harder. But there are documents that we can walk around with, right? Your voter's registration card. I can tell you, my mom, I walked into her house, Santra, and one morning she panicked and business passport. I said, for what? Oh, for my shop passport. I'm an American citizen. I said, if you don't put that passport away, because it's going to be my job to have to replace it. But these are the conversations that we don't, if I juste à Timoun, we need to be having them with our seniors as well. This is the time where, as a people, we've always been a very private people. We've always been very personal, right? Well, right now, it is not your problem. It's our problem. It's a collective problem, and your child is my child. So the more I can help, the more I can be my brother's keeper and my sister's keeper. It starts with at least giving young people the information, naturally, information that they can handle, but at least letting people know que c'est pas leur arrivé face à face with law enforcement or whomever, that they're being told you were undocumented in this country. I think that adds to the level of mental health, but it also adds to the mistrust between you and that child that will take a lot longer to build back.
I have a personal story of one of my friends growing up in high school, got a full ride to go to nursing school and could not go to college because it is at the time of graduation when she's applying that she realized that she would have to pay out-of-state fees because she was not born in the country. And so I laugh because Shirley said we don't tell people our business, but the people are your own kids too. They, even the kids don't know the business. And so that again causes so many pain points. And the other thing about preparation that you said that really had me chuckle was that we actually don't like to prepare, because even if someone is 100 years old, c'est job qui mange yo when they die.
Yep.
Anyway, we're going to get to a serious question. Ariel, I saw you come on camera. I don't know if you wanted to respond to the question as well. Okay, let's go to the next question. Oh, Guerline, are you coming off mute?
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the importance of emergency plan that Dr. Shirley started to talk about, and HBA in November. We started a series of Know Your Rights across the country from.
Sorry, Guerline, what's HBA?
Haitian Bridge Alliance, Haitian Bridge Alliance, Pont Ayisyen, we started a series of Know Your Rights that includes how to prepare for what we are seeing right now. Because we wanted back in 2024, prior to the actual implementation of this current administration, for people to know the rights, to know how when ICE comes to your house, when ICE comes to your school, when ICE comes to the hospital, when ICE comes to the various places you might find yourself, to identify and also be able to confidently address your rights. And at the same time, one thing we've been really trying to explain to the community is to have an emergency preparedness plan. And we will invite everyone to continue to connect with the Haitian Bridge Alliance and our partners so we can make sure you have the right information. One thing that is clear, the executive orders, the policies, they are real. However, the fear, the stress, and the trauma, that's where we get caught on the fact that we do not have the right information. We do not know where to run. We don't have an attorney to call. We don't have the cousin, the uncle that we trust. We don't have anything in place. C'est pas job k'ap manje nou tout temps. Sometimes we always have to be prepared. So one of the things that I really want to highlight specifically for the Haitian American community, understand whether you are a US citizen, naturalized, you are first generation, born in the US, you are on TPS, you came on the CHNV, Program Biden, ou pa gen ken papier du tout, you have absolutely no document. This is our issue. Like Dr. Plantin mentioned, we can no longer have the classism, the this and the that we continue to deal with within the community. Because at the end of the day, your cousin, your church member, your community member, who might not have the document that you have, need you to step up to the plate right now. We need you, the US citizens, the people of Haitian descent, the elected officials. This is the time for you, for all of us to step up to the plate to make sure Tijan, Pierre, or whomever it is who might not have the document today, it is our responsibility to protect them. And it is absolutely necessary that we have these emergency plans in place so that we are not in the finding out what happened to a person after they get deported. Please understand that we had a deportation fight to Haiti yesterday. And I will repeat, we had a deportation fight to Haiti yesterday, and it is not a new Trump administration thing. For the past 4 years under President Biden, we had deportation to Haiti every single month. So we have to be clear, no matter who is in power, we as a community must be ready, must stay ready to protect our own.
Right. I appreciate that so much. I also think that in the past, there's been a lot of generalizations in terms of who needs support, who needs to be defended. But we know through the Biden humanitarian program, there's been a wave of folks who've left Haiti who are actually not the generalizations of Haitians who've come through the asylum, through boat. And so it's actually everyone is targeted. Everyone actually needs support right now. Everyone needs to be planning. And so it's actually an equalizer right now in that people actually who have left need support in making sure that they have a plan or a case of emergency plan to see what will happen. The other thing that I think is coming up before we go to the next question is around Corinne got us started in terms of what we can do in terms of advocacy. And we want to name that fear is true. Fear is real, but it's also not a time to let fear paralyze us as a community. Because if you know of our history as the Haitian people, but even Black history in this country, we will know that it is in the face of fear that people have taken courageous acts to move us forward, right? And so we're actually needing our community not to hide, for sure protect ourselves, but to know there are many of us who are privileged enough to take risks, to hold our communities down, to protect them, to defend them, and to make sure that this country goes in the right direction where all of our rights, all of our humanity can be, so that we can have dignity. So definitely wanted to share that. See, lots of questions. I'm gonna go to questions regarding contacting our Congress people. How about those of us that live in red states and districts where both US senators and our district reps vote in alignment of anti-immigrant Black Haitian policies? They are still our representatives. Call them anyway. But who wants to take that question?
I think I can. And so first, whoever wrote that one, I hope you're okay. But
That's us
yes.
in Florida.
Yeah, but as you said, Santra, they are still your representatives. It's still their job to take those calls. And also, because if that is who they are, they're likely getting calls about the opposite. And so that's another thing to remember. Sometimes you doing a call is maybe it's at least just to balance it out. When I was working in Senate offices, I answered the phone to some nasty comments before about X, Y, and Z. You know, I'm so glad the immigrants are X, Y, and Z. So they also need to make sure that they're hearing things that are supportive of our communities.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that answer. I'm gonna go to you, Guerline. Could you share a few ECBOs in Southern California that are working directly with Haitian newcomers, especially those whom folks could directly support, volunteering, funding, etc.? I want to just segue you into saying, if you are not a part of an organization, volunteering, lending your expertise, it is high time for folks to be active in our communities. The time is right now. Go ahead, Guerline.
Thank you so much, Santra, and thank you for that question. The Haitian Bridge Alliance is headquartered in California, in San Diego. We are literally 15 minutes from the border, but we operate nationwide, and we have staff members in New York, in Florida, in the DMV area, in Massachusetts, in Texas, in Georgia, and in Indiana. And we are working very closely with our partners across the country and across the border. So if you are in California, we will love to hear from you. Please reach out. The email is info@haitianbridge.org. info@haitianbridge.org. We would love to really get in touch with you. But as Santra mentioned, this is the time, wherever you are in the US, to really be in solidarity. As we say, un pile men chay palou. This is the time for our l'union for faire la force. This is the time for our un pile men chay palou.
Thank you so much, Guerline. Another question, given the freezing of USAID to Haiti and the impact of remittances due to Trump's mass deportation, how can we as a community continue to provide the resources that Haitians in Haiti need? Yes. Who would like to take that question? I'm thinking Ariel.
Sorry. So how can we continue to send remittances if
or remittances or resources, given the freezing of USAID and the impact of remittances due to Trump's mass deportation? How can we continue to provide resources to the Haitian community in Haiti?
Well, I mean, first of all, we have to see how this is going to go. The USAID thing, we don't know exactly what this means because USAID is now going to be under the State Department. So we have to see how it unfolds exactly. That's one. But secondly, there are a host of local organizations that we can make sure that we support, and we don't need to support them just financially. There's a host of ways to support local organization with skills, with so that's what comes to mind. And then again, making sure that these local organizations, if you're connected to larger organization or philanthropies here, that you connect them directly to. So there's going to be a shift. If there is this gap in Haiti, I think in terms of USAID and others, these larger organizations are already thinking, those that are already in Haiti also, how are they going to fill this gap? But again, this is really a moment where we cannot give, and we shouldn't give very specific answers to the how, because it's evolving very quickly. So yes, for being prepared, yes, for making sure that we have the right information, yes, for connecting to diaspora organizations that we know are credible, as well as civil society and local organizations in Haiti. And diaspora organization can help the diaspora connect them to those organizations that are in education, in health, and all the other sectors. But again, good information, making sure that we're connected and that we take our lead from Haiti always. And I'm not sure if that answered the question, but that's what I have for you now.
I absolutely think that answers the question. I would also say that I was just talking to Lorraine from Focal earlier this week, and she consistently reminds me that, when you get on an airplane, they say put your oxygen mask on. There are communities in this country, Haitian communities in the United States of America, who are in desperation. We know a lot of people who are in the shelters. We know a lot of kids who are in the foster care system. We know a lot of people who are struggling to eat because they are in fear. They're no longer going to work. They're no longer going to church. And so there's also opportunities. There's also opportunities for people to plug into their local community as it relates to what Haitians are experiencing here in America as well. And so I want to always hold that duality, that absolutely want to make sure that we take care of home, but there's also pain points in communities right here. We talk about the shelters in Miami. We talk about people who are in the foster care system in Miami, or wherever people are across the diaspora. We know that there are communities who are experiencing it. I was at a conference with some folks who are in Boston, and people in Boston were trying to figure out how to help Haitians who've arrived to Boston with a housing shortage that they have. And so there's a lot of opportunities for us to even provide resources to people who are supporting Haitian people right now. We have Jocelyn Makala. Go ahead, Ariel, before we go to Jocelyn's comment.
Also, I think there's a point that Guerline made about planning. She also talked about showing up, stepping up to the plate now that our community needs us more than ever. But about planning, there's the short-term planning because we're in a crisis mode, but there's the long-term. And to the point that Lorraine made about putting your oxygen mask on first, the way that this diaspora will be able to help Haiti really and fundamentally and seriously is if we are able to build this power here, and if we're able to organize here and build allyship here. So we should think both short term, what are we going to do with the now? And we've spoken about that, but also how are we going to build these structures of coordination so we can respond with more force, with more strategy, and rapidly. So again, we have to think of the long term as well.
Absolutely. Jocelyn mentioned, note that Haitians can be deported to whatever country signs an agreement to the effect with the Trump administration. Guerline, can you speak to that? We got a lot of things to advocate to
Yes,
talk about.
thank you. I have a list of about 25 things that I would like to discuss today, but we're not going to get to that. But yes, thank you so much, Jocelyn. The reality is that many countries have actually signed agreement with the United States to receive immigrants from other country. One of them, the CHNV program, the one that we call the Biden program, was one of those programs where the United States made an agreement with Mexico, where they will agree to accept people from Haiti, from Cuba, from Nicaragua, from Venezuela, deported back to Mexico. But we currently have multiple countries that have agreed, including El Salvador, that has agreed or in talks with the US government to potentially receive people from different countries, so people from Haiti. And without also forgetting to mention what we are dealing with Guantanamo Bay, where they have already started to implement the incarceration and caging of people in Guantanamo Bay. And if we remember very clearly, and Jocelyn can also speak on that, is that this is where they caged Haitians. This is where the AIDS pandemic narrative was created. This is where people were in such inhumane conditions. This is where the current immigration prison system stemmed for, on the back of Black, on the back of specifically Haitian people. So not only are other countries agreeing to receive people, the United States is also implementing the imprisonment of asylum seekers, of immigrants. Specifically, we will see a lot of Haitians ending up in Gitmo, where we know that is a painful space in history for us. And we also need to address people leaving Haiti by boat, what we call maritime interdiction. Last week, we had 60 people on a little boat that ended up in Puerto Rico. And I just came back from Puerto Rico a few days ago to be able to really look into what's happening there, as we see the maritime route, because the border is essentially closed, no more CBP, because there's no more power program Biden, no more CHNV poll program, that where the legal pathway for people to come to the US, now we are seeing an increased number of people taking to sea again, leaving Haiti, going to the Dominican Republic, and making their way to Puerto Rico. And some of them will also make their way to Miami, to Florida. And we clearly see that they have already putting in place measures to detain and capture people who are trying to make their way via maritime as well. So we want to make sure we address all those issues. And at the same time, one thing I wanted to mention earlier, Santra, is the fact that as people are being deported to Haiti, what is in place for them? And I know I have said that many times, and some people get offended when I give the analogy of dropping people into a burning house. As Ariel mentioned, the metropolitan area is literally occupied up to 80% by violence gangs. That is our reality. When we have people being deported to Cap Haitian, where we are in constant risk of flooding due to climate change, and we are seeing people being deported, what is in place in Haiti to receive the people who are being sent back? What are the implications to Cap Haitian when the United States is deporting people, dropping them in Cap Haitian, just leaving them without any type of support? The people who were deported yesterday, we have information that they received $40 US and send them on their merry way. What's going to happen to those people? And we really have to see the deportation as violence act against Haiti specifically, because we continue to be in those situations where it's really a human right violation to be sending people to Haiti. So we have to address those issues. We have to understand who's signing papers to receive those deportation. Who's signing those papers? Who has the authority to do those things? And I'm yet to get the answer from anyone who are able to clarify who is in charge of receiving people humanly when they are being returned to Haiti.
Well, this is why I like to be on calls with amazing leaders because y'all have great questions. Um, so there's a final question. Thank you so much, Guerline, for your intervention because I think you're spot on. When you talk about Guantanamo, many of us who grew up in South Florida recall how Haitian leaders really took the streets to really advocate for brothers and sisters that were being held at Chrome Detention Center at Guantanamo, and we see it happening again. And this is a call to action for people to be organized, to get involved in an organization, to make sure that the people who are here closest to us, even right now, are being taken care of, and that we are thinking about how we can defend them and help them to prepare in this moment. The other things in terms of human rights violations, my understanding is there's still a ban on flights even into Port-au-Prince. So not understanding how deportation flights are traveling to Haiti when the US government is saying that it's not safe to fly into Haiti in the moment. And so all of these contradictions are things that advocates, young people who are policy wonks, people who are in law, people who are just folks who are interested can get involved in the organization to advocate, to be make sure that our voices are heard, and for all the attorneys to sue the government around these human rights violations. I see J.M. Celestine. There's a question there. We need to create a web amongst all Haitian orgs across the U.S. We are Houston Haitian United and need support, especially from those coming out of Mexico. East, West, North, and South, we need to create the Haitian wall of orgs and community members. We welcome unity, Union Civ, Force New. Info at HoustonHaitiansUnited.org. I'm going to say Ansamm is interested in the ecosystem mapping, so we'll be sure to reach out to you as well as the other organizations who are facilitating this call. We just have a few minutes, so I'm going to try to get to Paul's question and then Bruce Nurse's question. Given the freezing of USAID disbursements internationally, many of which provide life-saving services in countries like Haiti, are there other countries identified able to fill the gaps ASAP? Is anyone able? Go ahead, Corinne.
I can try to answer that question. Okay, I thought I froze for a bit. So for Haiti in particular, for better or worse, the US is far and away the country that's most involved. So some of the other entities that are going to be doing more response will be some of the multilateral institutions. So things like the International Organization for Migration is supposed to be on the ground helping with deportees and internally displaced persons. Things like the World Food Program is supposed to be helping on humanitarian grounds. And so we know other countries, Canada, France, as well as the Colombian president visited Haiti recently. So maybe that means, more support from Colombia. But really, it is a huge, huge gap. Hundreds of millions of dollars were being spent by the U.S. in Haiti every year. And so at least in my role, it'll be doing what I can to see if some of that money can be turned back on, because that will just be faster to get several $1 million back into Haiti.
Thank you. I see Guerline and also Ariel. Go ahead, Guerline.
I'll be very quick and pass it to Ariel. And we really need to understand when it comes to Haiti, we need to have sustainable strategy and sustainable support. Because if we continue to receive, and I can only speak as a US, as an American citizen, and as a Haitian national, right? If we continue to see the help coming from other countries, the US, and I say the meager help, because I was reading based on the USAID's freezing of support when it comes to Haiti. We're looking at $1.3 million, and we're looking at Ukraine and other countries. They are in the billions of dollars. So we have to also look into what it means to have sustainable support to be able to build the infrastructure that we need to make sure that Haiti gets out of where it is right now. Our education system, agriculture, development, building our roads, the healthcare system, where right now, in order for somebody to survive any type of medical condition, they have to leave the country to go outside. So I also want us to understand when we are speaking to those people, the United States, the Canada, the France, and those people, that they put the respect that needs to be happening when it comes to Haiti, because we cannot continue to receive the 1 million, 2 million, $50 million when we know this is not going to be able to lift up the country from where it is to where it needs to be. I just wanted to share that to put context into when they are comparing quote unquote support for Haiti and support for other countries, when we are seeing 1.5 million to Haiti compared to 40 billion to other countries. So we need to address those as well.
Thank you, Guerline. I'm gonna really fast, Ariel, because I'm gonna have to wrap.
No, so what I wanted to say is to add to Corinne's that this is, and I've said this many times, it seems like we're in a moment of where a new world order is going to emerge. And it's unsettling, but it's also opportunities for other alliances. And Corinne mentioned that the Colombian president was in Haiti, and there's countries in Africa, I think that would be open to having relationships with Haiti in terms of we would need to look to the African Union and to other countries in the world to see where we can have more equal or more, Guerline spoke about more respect when it comes to Haiti and the relationship that we have with other countries. But it's going to take a while for us to be sustainable. We have to be realistic about that as well. So we need to, this is a moment where aid and development also there's an opportunity for people to rethink what it means also with countries like Haiti. So that's what it's an opportunity for us to rethink this and to build different allyship and different models.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think I'm going to take moderator's privilege because I think we are out of time. I'm looking for okay, I see Naomie. Yes, we're going to end on time. I want to say thank you all so much to the panelists. But in terms of wrapping what we heard from all the guests, Dr. Shirley mentioned that we need to be thinking about the children. We need to ensure that they know their status, that we're coaching them on how to respond to bullying that they're experiencing in the school system so that we don't have to deal with the aftermath of them being vulnerable to trafficking and to gangs. We heard from Corinne around ensuring that people are calling their representatives, not only at the congressional level, but that we're involving ourselves in how to protect Haitians right here in the States at the local and the state level. We heard from Guerline, who really told us about what Haitians are experiencing at the border and migrating across this country and what it means for folks to lose status. And even deportation plans are still going to Haiti, right? And the roles that we need to play. And Ariel also linked us to what's happening in Haiti and how what's happening here is also impacting Haiti in terms of remittances, in terms of even USAID and international funds that's going to Haiti. And so we actually need to be vigilant, right? And we need to ensure that we're protecting home. I will say that it is not, I'm not shocked that we veered much more into Haiti, but as a moderator's privilege, I want to say that our comrades in Haiti have told us to ensure that we put our oxygen mask on, that there are communities of Haitians all throughout this Haitian American diaspora that need our support, need our short-term planning, need our long-term planning so that we can thrive here as well, which will automatically impact Haiti. And so I implore folks to be engaged, to be a part of an organization, join a coalition, put your expertise to work. That way we will absolutely have a stronger community that can take on any administration, right, and ensure that we're able to thrive here. I'm going to pass to Naomie, who's going to close us out. Thank you all so much for having us. And thanks again for allowing me the time to be a moderator. Naomie, pass to you.
Merci. Merci à panel nou yo ki d'abord, merci pour leadership nou, ak koken chon travay ke nou fe yo, et pour informasyon important nou pote pou nou assoya. Et puis tout rappel de véritable puissance nou posséder an da communauté nou yo. Et à vous, Santra, un gros merci parce que vous vraiment bien facilité et discussion à ça. Merci en pile. Et merci à chaque grainement panel là. Nous te gagné avec nous Dr. Shirley Plantin, Guerline Jozef, Ariel, Dominique, Corinne, Paul. Un gros merci. Et merci à toutes questions que nous posons dans le chat, dans le Q&A, qui vraiment aidé à animer et rentrer à fond dans le sujet. Hein. Et puis merci Christelle et Natasha de Respond Crisis Translation qui aidé nous translate as well. Et nous remercier comme d'habitude partenaires nous Haitian American Foundation for Democracy, Haitian Bridge Alliance, Roots of Development, Université des Atlantes, aksyon kare la qui rend programme ça possible. Tant que visitez nous dans haitiresponse.org pour nous connaître l'autre sujet capable venir dans le futur. Ma profite de annoncer prochaine discussion en fait dans fin mois ça, le 26 février. Et nous pourrons discuter à fond qui impact à petit changement qu'a fait dans l'aide humanitaire États-Unis à bien sur Haïti. Nous déjà parlé de ça en petit calme, mais n'a plus bien développé, n'a pas discuter, explorer sujet plus bien. Encore une fois, merci à tout le monde qui a participé, qui a ba nous temps nous et attention nous. Passez bonne nuit, n'a rencontré encore le 26 février. Merci.